right, all right, all right, all right. All right, I went a different route on you today a little bit. We went with Lecrae's blessings because, for me, that's what life is all about. It's all about the blessings that we continue to get, you know, every single day, the opportunities that we have, all of those things come into play when we're talking about the fact that we woke up this morning, we have the ability to learn at high rates, and we have the ability to be whatever we want to be. All right, so this is what I want you to do. JV, can you get those sheets right there for me that you see on the laptop and give everybody a sheet? Caleb, come on. 15 minutes, man, 15 minutes. Right, yeah, get one. All right, so this is what we're going to do real quick today. Today I want to show you how to set up a study plan. Because remember, when we did that segment on, when we did our segment a couple of weeks ago about KPB, the P stands for plan. If you want to be successful, you have to plan for your success. And so one of the things in that is that if you want to be a successful student, you have to plan for success in the classroom. So I want to show you this morning how to set up a study plan. And we're going to use the acronym that we learned on last Thursday's mindset, where we talked about the brain, and we use the acronym, which means the B means we got to break things down. The R means we repeat and review. The A means active learning. The I means information search. And the N means never give up. And we basically did that this morning when we were doing multiplication of fractions. When we were doing division of fractions this morning. You know, because you guys had never seen the division of fractions. It was something new to you, right? And so when you first got it, it went to your sensory memory, which means that sensory memory only lasts how long, Caleb?
A few seconds.
Yep, and sometimes not even a second, but sensory memory don't last long at all. And so this morning what we were able to do is we were able to take the information that we got this morning, and we at least got it to where we think it's in working memory. Okay? And again, working memory, you know, lasts minutes, it lasts a few days, you know, but working memory is short-term as well. Okay? So we got to take that from that working memory to get it to long-term memory. And what did I say that I'm going to give you to help you to get that to long-term memory? What did I say I'm going to give you? To help that process out, what did I say I'm going to give you today to take home with you? Yes?
Some homework.
Some homework, right. I said that I'm going to give you homework so that you can take that from that working memory and take it all the way to long-term memory. Because when we get it into long-term memory, Caleb, we know it. And that's what we want to be. You know, we want to be smart. We want to be able to communicate with people on all types of levels. And that's one thing that, you know, when I grew up, when I finally figured it out, when the light bulb went off, the one thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to communicate with anybody. Okay? Not just people that I know. I wanted to be able to communicate with people that's in the business world. I wanted to be able to communicate with people on a political stage. You know, that was my goal. And in order for me to do that, I had to make myself more knowledgeable about information that's dealing with politics, about information that's dealing with business. And the only way I can do that is by learning. Okay, and I went through that same process, sensory memory. I had to get it to working memory, and from working memory, I had to do the same thing that I'm asking you guys to do. I had to go study it, review it, in order for me to get it into long-term memory. And now some things, you know, when I'm sitting there talking to somebody about political issues, some things, you know, I just remember because I've studied it and I put that thing in that long-term memory. And so on your sheet, you'll see the acronym, BRAIN. Okay, break it down is B. R is repeat and review. A is active learning. I is information search. And N is never giving up. And so we're going to look at how each one of these letters in the acronym, we're going to look at how can we do these things. Okay, how can we put these things to action in order to come up with us a study plan. Okay? Because if you don't develop a study plan, you will not be successful at any level. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is break it down. Caleb, what do you think it means when they say break it down, the B part? You got any idea? Say it again.
Break it into sections.
Okay, you can break it down means you can break it into sections. Another suggestion is while reading, use different colors to highlight different types of important information. For example, highlight important people and places in yellow, highlight important dates and times in blue, and highlight important ideas in green. I know teachers that do that. You know, they have their students to highlight different things in different colors. So that'll help you breaking the task down. Create a checklist of tasks that you need to accomplish and check each one of them off as you go. That's in the school system, man, especially us. We have a lot of checklists. You know, because this is the first time I taught in DeKalb County, I was not expecting a checklist before we went on Christmas break. You know, everybody gets one before we go home for the summer, but I was not expecting that one that we got before we went on Christmas break. But it was the same thing. It was a checklist for us to check off everything that needed to be done before we went home on the break. And then we had to turn it in to the assistant principal, one of the principals, had to check it off and make sure that we did everything. So having a checklist, you know, one of the things that I have to do a lot of times is when I'm trying to market my book, I have to have a checklist too, you know, because I got to remember, because I'm doing so many things, you know, some things that everybody don't see, those are the most important things. The things that I have to do when I'm in my laboratory, in my office, those are important. And one of those things that I have to do is I have to list who is my target audience. Who am I trying to, you know, who are the people that need the book that I have? Okay, because everybody don't need it. So I got to find out how can I get this book to the people that I believe that need it. So I have to do that first, check it off, and then I have to make up a plan. How am I going to reach it? How am I going to do it? Check it off, and then I have to do it. That's the key thing about a plan. Okay, you can do all this stuff, but if you don't do the things that you put in your plan, if you don't do the things that you said that you were going to do, then it all comes to naught. Okay, and that's the most important thing. With a lot of people, the reason they can't get to where they want to go is because they don't work their plan. Okay, they say they want to be better. They say they want to do better things. They say they want to get a better position, but they don't follow through and do it. Okay, and again, we already talked about how you break those long-term assignments into smaller ones. Creating an outline, like we did this morning when we was writing that paper. Caleb and Nathaniel is working on a five paragraph paper, you know, and that's challenging for them. But one of the things that we did is we kind of like broke it down so we can try to make it easier for them. Okay, so the first one is break it down. The second one is repeat and review. Okay, that's the R in the acronym BRAIN. Repeat and review. So when we do repeat and review, you can rewrite or type your notes. Okay, you can create your own study guide. And one of the things that I said we're going to do in repeat and review is we've been doing this division of fraction. So now you're going to get some homework so that you can do the same thing that we were doing earlier today. And that's going to help you as well. Okay, and then study a little bit each day. One of the things that I realized that when I was in college, one of the things I realized that if I studied every day, okay, I can cut out a lot of that. Because what happens is a lot of college students like to wait to the last minute and try to study, because that's what they were used to doing in high school. But the difference between college and high school is that in college, you know, you're only going to have 2 tests. Most schools, you're going to have 2 tests. You're going to have a midterm exam. You're going to have a final exam. You're going to have a 5 or 10 page paper. That's going to be it. So the test that you get at midterm is going to be over several chapters, because most of those college books are going to be that thick. And so you're going to have gone through half of that book by the time it's midterm. Okay, and if you try to, you know, wait until the last day or so to study all that information, I can tell you right now, you're not going to do well. You're not going to do well. I see it. I saw that all the time. Me, I didn't do well either, because in high school, again, I did like everybody else. I waited for the last moment, the night before the test, to try to study. And you could do it in high school because it wasn't as much information. But in college, you are not going to make it. So what I learned how to do, because I saw it from another one of my friends, he was a basketball player just like I was on a scholarship, Freddie. Freddie taught me a lot. And I had to sneak up on Freddie to find out what he was doing, because I was young then, so I was going out to party just like everybody else. First year in college, you know, most people, you know, you get wild because you're away from your parents. You can do whatever you want to do. So I partied like everybody else. Now, a lot of us, we were struggling, man. When it came time to take those tests, we were either just barely passing. Some people were not passing at all, you know. But Freddie was still making A's. But Freddie was hanging with us at nighttime. He didn't come in till 3 in the morning like we did, but he was still making A's. And I say, hold on, man, I know this guy is just not that smart to where he don't have to study. So one day after practice, because that's what we do, we practice, you know, we get out of practice and we go back to our room, and most of us go shower up, take a nap, because we know we're going to go out and hit the streets and stay out all night. Well, I called to Freddie one day because I need to know, what is this boy doing to keep making these A's? Freddie would leave practice and he would go straight to the library every single day after practice. And he would spend 2.5 hours in the library studying. And so once he did his studying, he would go back to the room, take his shower, do like we are. Instead of him sleeping for 2 hours, he sleep for about 1 hour or 30 minutes. And that was enough for him. But guess what he did? He had already studied. And so when it came time for the test, Freddie didn't have to stay up late at night and try to learn a half a book of information in a few hours. He didn't have to do that, because he was doing what? In his study plan, he was studying the whole time. Every single day, 2.5 hours. Every day, 2.5 hours. So by the time the test came, he didn't have to do anything else. He didn't have to do anything else. He was still to the point where he kept his routine and he could still go out at night. We went out at night, took a test the next day, and it cost us. Didn't cost Freddie because he had a good study plan. So that's the repeat and review. One of the things that you can do if you're disciplined, you get your study plan and you stick with it. The 8 The A in bring is actively learning. Okay, that's another key. If we put ourselves into the learning, we're more apt to learn. You can create a cartoon script. You can draw a picture. We talked about that. Caleb was saying he's visual, but he's all three. He's kinesthetic. You know, he learns by listening, audio, and he learns by visual. But he said he's mostly visual, and that's what I find with a lot of kids in here, is you're going to be visual. So if you can draw a picture, that'll help you, but you're getting involved. You're active in the learning. And that's how millennials learn. You learn because you're active and you're participating in the learning. Okay? You can make a video about the topic, and because you guys love rap so much, that's why the sales things were easy for you guys, because y'all love that sales rap. You loved it. It was to the point where I got tired of hearing it. Everybody was saying, can you play the sales rap again? I was like, no, not today. But that's the way that you guys learn. So we put it in that rap. Okay, and the I. The I is for information search. Ask the teacher to explain something in a different way if you didn't understand it the first time. Don't be afraid to ask questions for the teachers. Don't be afraid to do that. Raise your hand and ask for clarification. Attend extra help sessions. Okay, ask a classmate that already know information. Ask them to help you out. And then look back at your notes. And then the last part, the end is to never give up. Never give up. Okay? Write down your negative thoughts and turn them into positive statements. One of the things you want to do, the negative stuff that you have in your mind, because the negative thoughts will come, especially when you don't feel like you're capable, especially when you don't feel like you're able to do certain things. So you're gonna have to change those negative thoughts into positive things. Okay? Focus on your goals. Stay focused. Keep talking to yourself. We call that self-talk. Tell yourself, I can do it. Keep telling yourself every day, I can do this. I can do this. Okay, Caleb, you're going to need that when it comes to football, because it's going to be guys just as good as you are, okay? And you're going to be trying out, because now in middle school you may not have to try out, but in high school everybody tries out because the coach only has a certain amount of uniforms, and so people do get cut. So one of the things that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to keep telling yourself, I can do this. I can do this. I'm not going to be one of those on that list. Okay? Use square breathing. Make sure you get enough sleep. That's back to the beginning. We already talked about that. The brain works better when it gets enough rest. Take care of your body by eating good food. We know some. What are some of the brain foods? What's one? Brain food, yes.
Eggs.
Eggs is one of them. What's another? Yes.
Like nuts.
Peanuts. Okay, so eat things like that. Eat things like that because it feeds the brain. And schedule time to take breaks if you need to. Everybody got to have some breaks. Know yourself. Everybody learns differently. You should never compare your learning to someone else's learning. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Stay in your lane. Just because he finished it faster, that's one of the things that, my son, he comprehends things way faster than I do. He can read something and he got it. Hey, I have to read it 4 or 5 times to get it. But I can't compare myself to him. It's going to take me a little longer to read. He was blessed in that area where he could just pick it up really, really quick. Hey, I might have to read it another time, but it doesn't matter because I'm not trying to compare myself to him. I'm trying to get to my success level. Okay? He needs to try to get to his because he still got challenges he got to work through too. Okay? But I'm trying to get to my success level. So don't compare yourself to anybody else. And the last thing is this. When you're having difficulty, try a different strategy. Okay? This is the time to increase your effort. Don't give up though. Don't give up. Try a different strategy. Try something new. That's why I encourage parents, and we're going to do a lot of other things to help parents in here as well. That's why I encourage parents to always, when you compliment your kids based on the strategies and the efforts that they give. And get away from that telling them that they're smart, how smart they are all the time. Because when you do that, it creates in them a fixed mindset to where they're going to always run into something that they don't know. And when they have a fixed mindset, they're going to give up. But if you encourage them based on the strategies, the hard work and the effort that they put in, then when things get tough, they're more likely not to give up, but they'll keep striving and keep trying and keep moving to that top level. And that's where we want to be, growth mindset. We believe that we can do anything. Nothing is impossible for somebody that has a growth mindset. All right?